Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be digging into Maharashtra's IT and technology landscape. Specifically, we're looking at a really crucial period around the start of fiscal year 2025.
Right.
And this isn't just a review of, quarterly growth or anything like that. We're dissecting a blueprint for a massive structural transformation. The policy ambition here is almost unbelievable.
Ambition is exactly the right word. I mean, Maharashtra is already a heavyweight, but this isn't about small incremental shifts.
No.
The state has this ITETS policy 2023, and the goal they've set is staggering, achieving 10 lakh crore rupees in annual tech exports.
Wow.
Yeah. And to hit a target that big, the whole strategy has to rest on, well, really three foundational pillars.
Okay.
First, you build a deep, resilient startup base at home. Second, you go out and aggressively attract global capability centers, the GCCs.
The high-value operations of the multinationals.
Exactly. And third, you just relentlessly upgrade your digital and physical infrastructure.
And what's so fascinating, the advantage they're starting with, they're already at the top, right?
They are.
Maharashtra is basically India's data economy backbone. It contributes, 60% of the country's data center business?
60%. And on the startup side, as of January 2025, they hold a 24% national share in government-recognized startups.
So they have the density.
They have the density, but these new policies are designed to just, drastically increase the velocity of that growth.
Okay, so the question for us is, what are the actual mechanisms, the specific policy nuggets from late 2024 and early 2025 that are really driving this thing forward?
Precisely. It's not enough to say they're growing. We need to look under the hood at the machinery.
All right, let's unpack it. And I think we should start with that foundational piece, the entrepreneurial ground game. This is where it all begins.
It is. And the policy document that really defines this is the Maharashtra Startup Entrepreneurship and Innovation Policy 2025. Now, it was formally approved a little later, but the intent and the climate it created were already shaping things in early 2025. The aim is very specific. Forge a robust startup ecosystem and give it world-class facilities.
The thing that just jumped out at me was the sheer scale of the vision here. They're not just, offering a few grants. They're creating a formal funnel. They're casting a net across 500,000 youth, 5 lakh. With the goal of selecting and creating 25,000 viable entrepreneurs.
25,000. It's an unprecedented state commitment to actually generating founders.
So it's a recognition that you need to create your own IP, not just be a services hub.
Exactly. And to find those 25,000, they've set up a structured 3-stage assessment process. It's designed to, weed out the non-serious ideas and just focus resources on what's truly scalable.
So once someone is selected, how does the state actually help them create a business? Because we all know early stage funding in India is notoriously difficult. Yeah.
It is. And that's where their dual financial approach comes in. First, candidates get essential loan assistance from about 5 lakh up to 10 lakh rupees, all facilitated through financial institutions.
Okay, that's the debt side.
Right. But more importantly, the state created its own pool of venture capital, the Chief Minister's Mahafund.
The Mahafund.
It's a 500 crore rupee fund, and it is specifically earmarked to support these 25,000 early-stage entrepreneurs. So this isn't just seed money. It's about the state retaining control over its most promising ideas.
So you have the capital, you have the selection process.
Yeah.
But money alone doesn't build an ecosystem, right? You need mentorship, you need infrastructure.
Absolutely. And the structural support is critical. The policy actually mandates the creation of what they call entrepreneurship cells, or e-cells.
Where are they putting these?
Everywhere. Across all levels of academia, in schools, in ITIs, in polytechnics. It's a grassroots strategy to embed that entrepreneurial mindset really early on.
And then on the physical side, you see this incredible project, the 300-acre Maharashtra Innovation City. What's the strategy behind a huge integrated city like that, instead of just, more scattered tech parts?
It's an explicit play to generate high-value IP. The Innovation City is designed as a hub where startups, big legacy corporates, and academic institutions have to converge for R&D.
You're forcing the interaction.
You're forcing it.
Yeah.
By putting them all in the same space, the state is trying to accelerate that shift from being a services provider to being a true IP creator, especially in deep tech.
That makes perfect sense. Deep tech AI, quantum robotics that requires huge capital and, like you said, intense collaboration.
Precisely. They're targeting deep tech because, frankly, that's the only way you get the scale you need to hit that 10 lakh crore export target.
So that domestic foundation is critical. But to really scale, you need that massive external foreign investment, which brings us perfectly to the second pillar, the international appeal, formalized in the Global Capability Center, or GCC, Policy 2025.
This policy is it's a very clear signal to global multinationals. It aims to attract over 400 new GCCs and generate a massive number of jobs, 400,000 high-skilled jobs by FY 2030. India already has, 1,900 GCCs, so Maharashtra is competing hard for that future expansion.
And the incentives they're offering are just staggering. It really shows how competitive they're willing to be.
Oh, absolutely. The fiscal incentives scale aggressively. So a big company setting up shop can get capital subsidies up to 20% of their investment.
And that's capped, right?
It is, but the caps are huge. For a smaller GCC, maybe it's capped at 100 crore. But for what they call ultra mega GCCs, that subsidy can rise to an unbelievable 1,000 crore rupees.
1,000 crore. That's not a domestic play. That is a global signal, bidding them up against places like Singapore or Dubai.
It's a direct investment in global market share. And it's not just capital. They're subsidizing the talent itself.
How so?
They're offering payroll reimbursements of up to 50% of salaries for those high-end skilled employees, the data scientists, the AI architects, add R&D grants up to 2 crore, patent filing assistance. You realize the state is directly subsidizing the innovation itself.
But beyond the cash, what about the operational friction? The red tape, the licensing. That's often the biggest headache for multinationals.
They're tackling that head-on by giving GCCs industry status.
I'm antsy. What exactly?
For a global operation, it's fundamental. It lets them operate 24/7 by 365, no mandatory shutdowns. When you're managing IT for a bank in New York and a retailer in Tokyo, you can't just shut down. This move makes Maharashtra instantly more attractive.
That is a huge competitive advantage for workflow.
It is. And they're also addressing the real estate problem. They've mandated that 10% of all new MIDC industrial estates will be reserved just for GCC parks.
So priority allotment, no bottleneck on land.
Exactly, no matter where they decide to land.
And that brings up a crucial point. Is this all just focused on Mumbai and Pune?
No, and that's the strategic brilliance of the policy. It explicitly targets growth in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
Like Nagpur or Nashik.
Nagpur, Nashik, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. It's a deliberate statewide strategy to spread development and, prevent that brain drain from the regional centers.
Okay, so moving from human capital to physical capital. All this digital ambition has to sit on top of massive physical infrastructure, specifically data centers. We already mentioned Maharashtra houses 60% of the country's data center business. Mumbai alone is over half the national footprint.
And maintaining that dominance requires just enormous capital investment. The state is planning 4 new data center parks.
And we saw that landmark deal in September 2025.
We did, a massive MOU with Lotha developers for a green integrated data center park in Palava. The promised investment is 30,000 crore rupees.
30,000 crore. That's just staggering capital flowing into the underlying digital plumbing.
It is.
And those digital operations, they need robust physical connectivity for the people running them. This is where, urban planning meets IT strategy, especially somewhere like Pune.
Precisely. In the big tech hubs in Pune, like Kharadi and Hinjawadi, the upcoming Metro Line 3 is crucial.
Right.
It's going to offer direct, reliable connectivity between the IT parks and the residential areas. Better transit isn't just convenience, it's a necessary component for scaling these tech corridors.
And with the energy demands of data centers set to double by 2030, stability and sustainability are paramount. How are they ensuring the power supply stays reliable and green?
That's a huge priority. The industry secretary was emphasizing the role of the MIG policy, the Maharashtra Industrial and Generation Policy.
Okay, what does that do?
The key benefit is something called power banking.
Power banking?
Yeah, essentially it lets data centers deposit excess power they generate from, say, solar or wind, and then draw that banked power back during peak demand. It optimizes cost and ensures stability. They're also promising policy continuity for at least 5 years to reassure these big energy users.
That is a really sophisticated level of coordination between industrial policy and power generation.
Well, it is.
Okay, finally, let's wrap this up by talking about the talent pipeline. All these incentives and all this infrastructure, it means nothing if you can't fill the 3.5 million new jobs they're aiming for.
Talent is the make or break component, and the focus now is heavily on embedding these deep tech skills across the entire education system, not just in the elite universities.
Can you give us an example of that in action?
Sure. One is the AI Awareness Program for Schools, Bharat Skill NXT 2025, which gets AI concepts in front of students really early.
Okay.
But a more targeted effort is the partnership with Swami Ramanan Tirth Marathwada University in Nanded. They're rolling out this Digital 101 framework across 400 affiliated colleges.
400 colleges.
400 to upskill 1.5 lakh students. They're basically forcing a standardization of digital literacy across all these regional colleges to feed that decentralized job market we talked about.
And this all seems to correlate with what the market is telling us. I was looking at the employment index data for April 2025, and the hiring index for entry-level talent 0 to 3 years experience was up at 375. That's very high.
That number is critical because it validates the strategy. It shows there's strong, sustained market demand for new entrants, which gives young people the incentive to go and get the skills that programs like Digital 101 are offering. The demand signal is strong, and the supply pipeline is being engineered to meet it.
So when you connect all these dots, what does it really mean? Maharashtra is doing way more than just facilitating growth. It's actively engineering a future tech economy.
I think the takeaway is clear. They are using these targeted, aggressive policies from 2025, the startup policy, the GCC policy, and they're backing them with massive infrastructural commitments like that 30,000 crore data center park and crucial transit links like Pune's metro.
And the long-term vision is huge.
It is. They want to be India's AI capital, aiming for a 25% market share in AI's gross value added. That requires a phenomenal compound annual growth rate of like 13 to 14%.
The groundwork is undeniably strong. Maharashtra has kept that top spot for recognized startups in India. But here's a final thought I want to leave you with to explore on your own. As the state moves so aggressively to attract these 400,000 high-skilled GCC jobs and focuses so intensely on deep tech in the innovation city, but also on hyper-local e-cells in smaller towns, how will this actually shift the geography of innovation? The state is betting it can move that innovation axis beyond Mumbai and Pune into places like Nagpur and Nashik. So will success be defined by density, how intense the growth gets in the big cities, or by the spread, how much high-value IP gets created in those regional hubs? It's a great experiment, and we'll be watching.
Indeed. The next few years will tell us if that vision can really be realized.
That was The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us.